You're listening to the Hella Well with Danielle show, a podcast taking women of color on a journey exploring all things wellness and travel related. We're all about showing you how to put on your oxygen mask first and creating lasting self-care habits that will free you to travel the world and live the life you truly desire, and not one you have to fake loving. I'm your host, Danielle Washington. Now let's buckle up and start this journey. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of the Hella Well with Danielle podcast, your weekly mental vacation for the busy woman of color who is on her healing journey and just may need a moment to breathe, woosah, and relax from the noise of the world. I'm your host, Danielle Washington, and I'm glad we're on this journey together because today we're going to dive into a topic that I feel is going to resonate with many of you. We're going to focus on the concept of being resilient, but from a different angle than I feel like most people or even I've talked about before. Resiliency is this interesting fairy tale of strength and survival, but it also is a story of stress and struggle. The constant emphasis on being resilient can lead to this neglect of personal needs, self-care, mental health. And all I know is from my own experiences and watching other people, this situation can cause women to feel like there's this pressure to keep going, even beyond their capacity, which leads to burnout, stress, and other health issues. Resiliency is this double-edged sword, especially for women of color. And today, we're going to really explore past the glorified version that's ingrained into all of us. But before we jump in, let's take a moment to get grounded and start flexing our resiliency muscles through a breathing exercise. So if you can, close your eyes, get comfy wherever you are, and then take a deep breath in through your nose and suspend the breath. Hold, hold, hold. And now slowly exhale through your nose. And let's do this again a few more times. Inhale deeply, hold, 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 and slowly exhale. And one last time, inhale deep, 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 deep. Hold the breath. Hold. Hold. And now exhale all the air out. If you want, you can continue, pause this and continue breathing, focusing on your breath. This simple act of mindfulness can be your tool to finding that balance and facing adversity from a clear mindset. It's what I use when I feel like things are spinning out of control, or I feel like I've allowed myself, and I say allowed myself to go past my capacity because of resiliency. Like I needed to be resilient. Resilience. We know it as our ability to bounce back, to be persistent, withstand the difficult times, to endure. In a Google search I did when preparing for this podcast, I saw something that says, what makes a woman so resilient? And the response was kind of, I don't know, I'm going to let you guys hear it. So the response said, quote, "A resilient woman doesn't give up easily. They are constantly pushing themselves to be better. They refuse to let their failures keep them down, and they always get back up on their feet after they fall. If you want to be resilient, then you need to have the same determination and never give up attitude." Okay. I don't know. If it was me and I was looking up the word resilient in the dictionary, I am positive I'm going to see a Black woman living her daily life. I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist, and I don't ever claim to be one, but I don't know. I feel like resiliency is passed down through our DNA. It's not something that we learn or that we're taught along the way. I come from a long line of strong, resilient women that I honestly don't know any other way of life. It's just me. If I look at me and I think of me, if I was going to say one of the top qualities I have or one of the values that I've always had is to be resilient, because that's what I saw. That's all I know. But sometimes I wonder, what would life be like had I not be so resilient? Would I take better care of myself? Would I take on less? Would life feel more enjoyable? And these are questions that kind of run through my mind. Recently, someone asked me to recall a moment when I was resilient, I overcame something. And I had to pause and seriously think. When was there a moment or day in my life when my resiliency wasn't constantly being tested? Being resilient and overcoming microaggressions, challenges, expectation of others and myself feels like another Tuesday, another Thursday, another Friday. And I don't think I'm alone in feeling this way. I feel like a lot of women of color can relate to this feeling. I don't know, again, maybe I was taught this, but it just feels ingrained to me that you have to keep pushing forward. That's the mantra of my life. Just keep pushing forward. You fail, get back up, no matter what comes your way. Is it a byproduct of the effects of slavery or being quote unquote other in this country? I don't know. All I do know is that many of my friends who are women of color are also behaving the same way. So there's got to be something to this. But what if I told you that resilience can sometimes be a double-edged sword? Yeah, it can empower us to withstand the pressures of time, but it also pushes us beyond our silent capacity, ignoring our self-care and our well-being. Mastering both sides of resiliency is actually a balancing act. But many of us are out here falling off the tightrope every day with pride because it shows how strong we are. We can show the world, look at me. I'm resilient. I'm a strong woman. And that's because being resilient has been interlinked to our worth. I did a podcast a few months ago talking about being more than strong as a Black woman. And I mentioned in that podcast episode what connects us to being so proud about our capacity to go beyond in the name of resiliency and strength is a feeling of worth. I know for me, a lot of my ability to be resilient came from feeling that it was tied to my worth. If people could just see how resilient I was, I would then be worthy. So I pushed past my capacity to prove to others, to prove to myself that I was resilient. I was the resilient person that they needed. And I wish my younger self knew better. I wish my younger self knew that resiliency doesn't always mean strength. I didn't understand at the time how damaging my need to show my strength and go beyond my capacity was really jacking up my well-being. This feeling that I had to be everything to everyone else was really hurting me. I know many of you can relate to this. When I think about how resiliency has shown up in my life, it's been that taking that extra shift, the additional responsibility we shoulder, even though we know we're already hella exhausted. It's that expectation that, quote unquote, oh, Danielle can figure it out. Danielle will pitch in. Or that unspoken mantra, keep pushing forward. You're a strong Black woman. If any of this sounds familiar to you, it's because it's part of our collective narrative. I'm not alone. It's tied to this complex tapestry of our culture, of our historical, societal experiences. This is how the world sees us. We could do it all because we show them in our everyday action that we can do it, even though when no one's watching, we're crying, we're feeling burnt out, we're irritable, we're complaining to whoever will listen to us about all of our responsibilities and how we're hanging on by a thread and about to lose it. Yet we still carry on in the public world with the sword of resiliency as a source of our strength and survival. And today I'm literally saying F my resiliency, because I can't ignore the cost of my well-being. I'm aware now, and I'm like, this is a lot. This is kind of expensive, and I don't think I want to spend my energetic currency in this way. So I feel like it's time for us to start redefining, what does it mean to be resilient? If the old definition was about capacity to withstand and recover from difficulties fast, my new definition is the capacity to know your edge and recover quickly from situations that throw you off your path of alignment. Resiliency is about understanding your capacity, knowing your boundaries, and knowing not to go beyond them, but while also pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's literally where the healing, the deep healing and the awareness lives that we truly all want. That's why we're on this path. That's why we're on this journey to healing. But it's not about going beyond our edge, and it's not settling and doing very little, because that's when we don't grow. So it's finding that balance. It's finding that edge. It's about knowing your edge and walking to it, but not past it. And I plan to explain in another episode how to find your edge. I'm doing another episode later on this month where I've dived deeper into that. But in the meantime, it's a deeper understanding of one's capacity and creating a clear border or line of what it means to go past it, and also what it means to get just to that line, which can lead to more aha moments and healing. One of the best things I feel like I can do for my clients and those of you who are listening to this podcast is to be a guide, to be a source of realistic wellness techniques that feel doable, feel attainable, to help you find your edge, to continue to introduce you to meditation and breathing exercises and Kundalini practices that will help you reduce stress, get clear, grounded, become aware that your self-worth isn't tied to your strength. It doesn't have to be, because it's a choice. It's a choice we all get to make. We get to decide our worth, not society, not social media, not your mama, or the negative narrative that's been playing in your head for all these years. And how do we cultivate and redefine this version of resiliency? Well, I'm not saying this journey is linear. Let me start right there. What I am saying is that there's going to be moments of struggle and self-doubt. I'm going to keep it real with you. I always will. There's going to be moments of falling back to behaving like this one side of the sword and feeling like my resiliency is my worth, and so I have to keep going beyond and pushing myself, even though I feel exhausted and drained and I can't do it anymore. But I gotta feel like I gotta keep going. I gotta keep pushing forward. There's gonna be those moments, and I want you to know it's okay. So when those moments come, when you only see one side of the sword of resiliency, give yourself some grace. Give yourself some love, and know that, okay, I can do better. This was a small setback, and it's okay, because my journey is not linear. What has helped me navigate through these moments shocked me. I won't even sit here in front. I was like, I'm just kind of surprised. This is kind of where I landed. But the tools and practices that have helped me navigate these moments the most is Kundalini yoga, which I've talked about in other episodes. I was the girl who hated yoga, and look at me now. I was the girl who meditated and was just like, I don't know why people do this. Like, I can't quiet my mind. My mind's constantly racing. But it's Kundalini yoga, it's meditation, it's chanting mantras, or simply doing practices like long, deep breathing that have been so helpful. Yes, I totally get this sounds so woo-woo, so hear me out first. These have become my anchors in helping me manage my energy, and my resiliency. I love doing certain Kundalini Yoga Kriyas, which are these exercises for specific purposes that help me manage my energy in these moments. For example, I love doing Kriyas that focus in on the third chakra, which is the area in your navel area, which focuses on your willpower. So I like doing Kriyas like Nabi Kriya, which has a lot of core work in it, but it's something that makes me feel the challenge. It's something that helps me in these moments when I feel like I'm a little bit more challenged, that I can get out of my head. I like doing this other meditation that's with the Ravi Mudra, and it seems so easy, but once you're in it, you're so focused that you forget that you have a headache. You forget that you feel that you have to go beyond your capacity. You forget all the things that are getting you off your path of alignment, and it gets you to connect very quickly into the neutral mind. And so I gravitate to those things right now because those are the things that are working for me. And if someone is new to Kundalini Yoga, meditation, or breath work, I like to start them off with just offering them long, deep breathing. So if that's you, just do that. And then I like to add in between the inhale and the exhale, holding your breath like we did in the practice earlier. Because when you hold your breath, there's a point of resistance that we kind of need to kind of get used to. And I feel like that is really, really helpful, not just on a physical level, but on an energetic level. From there, I love meditations that use mantras. Some of the mantras I love chanting, which are crazy easy. Sa, ta, na, ma. We did that in last week's episode, chanting Sa, ta, na, ma. Or one of the most healing mantras you could ever chant, Ra, ma, da, sa, se, so, hung. I find myself chanting this all the time. And I love the meditations that especially use your hands, because I feel like when you're chanting, you're using your hands, again, it helps you get out of the negative mind and connect to the neutral mind, which helps you get back on your path. So many things kick us off our path. I feel like we're pushed off our path when we feel like we have to go beyond our capacity. So being able to climb our way back and get on path, I feel like is connected to us connecting to our neutral mind. And so a lot of these practices have helped me quickly, without going to the bar and feeling like I need a drink, or smoking weed, or doing all these other things, connecting with someone else. It's a way that I personally, without needing anyone else, can connect back onto my path and be back in my alignment. But everyone is different. You can try one of these things that have helped me. You can come to one of my classes. You can listen to one of the meditation breathwork sessions I have on YouTube. You can listen to the podcast weekly, as I'm always doing some kind of exercise to help you calm your mind. And when it comes to untangling your worth from a cultural perspective and expectations, I need you to know that it's a daily practice, probably a lifetime one. There are so many pressures that we face, and it's easy to get swept back into the web of feeling like you have to be there and do everything and go beyond your capacity, go beyond your edge. It's ingrained in our DNA, but it could be damaging. So I need you to be aware of the effects. Being aware that I was a people pleaser and someone who needed to be needed as part of my self-worth has been a game changer. That awareness, being intentional about stopping trying to fix everything and everyone and stay in my own lane, has been what's helped me. It helped me set the boundaries for protecting my energy. Reiki also was really good for energetically letting go of strings tying me to other people that weren't serving me. Shifting my mindset that I don't need to be everything to everyone else was key. But it took practice. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm still a work in progress. My journey with resilience, like many of yours, has been an evolution. There has been times when I believed that I had to be the most resilient person in the room to prove my worth. But today I know better. I'm aware. I understand that being resilient doesn't mean never stepping back, and that not every adversity is worth me facing. I'm going to say that again. Not every adversity is worth me facing. I now ask myself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my time? Also, not every adversity or challenge is mine. As the old narrative used to tell me, oh, take on everyone else's energy, take on everyone else's challenge. Because again, I had to feel like I had to activate my superwoman cape of resiliency and be there. Not anymore. I recognize and I ask myself these questions. Is this mine? Is this even my challenge to face? Do I want to do this? Is it worth me doing this? I learned that I don't always have to be the resilient one. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to protect my energy, to create and uphold my boundaries. I'm worthy of boundaries and not needing to be everything to everyone else, just like you. I need you to know that. And now I want to hear from you. I want to know your experiences, your stories, your questions. Let's have a conversation. Let's keep this dialogue going. So let's talk on Instagram, DM me, write a review of this episode in Apple or wherever you're listening, and share your thoughts. It's time for us to redefine what it means to be resilient and recognize that there's two sides to the sword and not every side is a good one. And on that note, I will talk to you next week. Ciao.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Hello Well with Danielle show. Make sure to visit our website, hellowellwithdanielle.com, where you can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music and never miss an episode. Also, you can follow us on social media at Hello Well with Danielle on Facebook and Instagram, and Hello Well Danny on Twitter. And if you like hella love the show and got some good nuggets out of it, know that I'm not too proud to ask for you to please leave a rating or review on iTunes so that we can continue to expand our reach and help other women of color. Again, thanks so much for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Ciao.